As Congress creates a new farm bill, ranchers are ready for lawmakers' help to protect working landscapes that support the nation and the nation's wildlife. Joe Villagrana is not just herding cattle. He and his neighbors are keeping alive one of the world's great migrations. A simple change to the farm bill can assure this continues.
As soon as the water starts coming in, birds start flying in. We're talking thousands of birds.
At winter's close, skies fill with birds pushing from California's Central Valley to Alaska, Canada, even Siberia to raise a new generation. Along the way, they stop here, a special piece of the Pacific Flyway between southern Oregon and northeastern California, called Sonic.
Very few people know the value of Sonic. I mean, it's out in the middle of nowhere, basically. The research shows us that 5 to 6 million ducks, 1 million geese, 75,000 swans move through this area every spring.
40% of the pintails in North America rely on this place.
Sonic really is perhaps the most important spring migration area in North America.
For just weeks a year, it becomes an oasis as ranchers flood meadows to produce a new crop of hay.
The birds are here because of the fields that are all around us today that provide the seeds, the invertebrates that these species are looking for to fuel up before they make their long journey back to the breeding ground.
If they don't complete migration, well, they're going to die. These birds have to be able to move through this flyway. And to do that, they have to have this habitat.
But this unusual relationship between people and wildlife, one that sustains them both, is in jeopardy.
It's the water that we're putting out to raise our hay is the reason that these birds are here.
Flood irrigation simulates an ancient cycle, Mother Nature's gift of spring snowmelt flowing across these parched plains.
What the ranchers are doing out there to grow grass is exactly what the birds need.
We're finding out that private lands are critically important to sustaining continental waterfowl populations.
State and federal wildlife refuges provide just a quarter of the habitat birds need in Sonic.
There simply is not enough land within the wildlife management refuge system to provide the needs for all of those bird species. And that's what we can help do as private landowners.
We're working with private landowners trying to enhance their habitat, protect it, make it viable for them to keep doing this type of work so that the birds have someplace to go in the future.
Our partnership with Ducks Unlimited has helped us out tremendously. Because of them, we're able to better utilize our water, creating habitat for the waterfowl. We're irrigating our meadows.
Despite partnerships and progress, this irreplaceable landscape and the families who manage it confronts a challenge worthy of the nation's attention.
The threat to this environment is that somebody will break that chain in the flood irrigation system.
Because of the way that these agricultural producers are using water, diverting it from streams and flooding it and cascading it down through fields, connectivity is really important.
It flows from one ranch to the next throughout the floodplain. And if somebody, say in the middle of that, changes the irrigation practices, it affects everybody, particularly downstream. And it can have a devastating impact on the habitat that's there and the productivity of that land.
One of the greatest threats facing these wild flooding meadows is the generational changeover that's going to be happening in the livestock and agricultural businesses in the next 10 years.
And when that happens, many of those landowners may not stay in agriculture.
This is a picture of your great-great-great-grandparents.
Our family roots in Eastern Oregon in agriculture span back 7 generations.
Colby hopes these ranch meadows will endure. With a minor adjustment to the farm bill, they can. The Wetlands Reserve Program already offers easements to protect wetlands on farmland, but only if ranchers give up the right to harvest hay. the crop that supports them, and the birds.
The new paradigm that we'd like to promote is a working lands model for conservation that acknowledges the importance of maintaining haying as well as grazing.
By encouraging landowners who benefit wildlife, the Farm Bill can bring conservation into the 21st century with just one modification.
Haying needs to be a reserved right within the Wetlands Reserve Program.
That would enable ranchers to stay on this landscape and continue doing what they do while providing a home and a foraging stopover for millions of waterfowl that come through this area.
This keeps the ranch productive, it keeps the rancher on the land, it protects the habitat for the birds.
The country should care about management of these meadows, not only for their habitat benefit, but the food security benefit that comes from the ability to produce livestock in these systems.